how can you get away from the embodiment and actualization, realization, exploration of self, and it not be spiritually informed? So because my transition is this actualization of self, that speaks a lot to how I am perceiving destiny. And I feel like that is what spirituality is it serves the purpose of aligning us with destiny, helping us to rewrite, inform, influence, and define what our destiny is, the paths and roles that we decide to take in life. And also helps us to remember that, we are in a community of spiritual beings.
Homeostasis is this thing that I keep coming back to when I think about how I feel. Because it feels less big and outlandish and more just kind of like a quieting. Because I feel like I always have this frantic buzz in my head, and I'm an anxious person. And even with transitioning, I still have that and hold that. But
you associate quieting with spirituality?
Yeah, I do. I feel like I can really listen and tap into a wider connection. I feel like spirituality for me personally, my personal definition of it is about connecting with others in a way that's not necessarily tangible, even though it might have tangible outcomes.
Being in this body on purpose, wanting to be trans on purpose. Because there's, like you said, there's alchemy. I love that word, alchemy, in reference to transition, because there's something about it. I don't know. It's I'm not trying to be a cis woman. I always think this. Trans womanhood is not in search of cis womanhood. It is intentionally trans.
There can be no middle way in dealing with transgenderism. It is all or nothing. If transgenderism is true, if men really can become women, then it's true for everybody of all ages. If transgenderism is false, as it is, if men really can't become women, as they cannot, then it's false for everybody too. And if it's false, then we should not indulge it, especially since that indulgence requires taking away the rights and customs of so many people. If it is false, then for the good of society, and especially for the good of the poor people who have fallen prey to this confusion, transgenderism must be eradicated from public life entirely. The whole preposterous ideology at every level.
I'm not trying to be a cis woman.
Or reflections, but just this feeling of closeness to others, and just also feeling spiritual, I feel is a connection to the divine and divinity.
Beyond the way that society fantasizes us and tries to dehumanize us in the sense that they're fantasizing us, I feel as though to oppose that, I personally fantasize the girls as being mystical creatures or being superhuman, but not in a dehumanizing way, in a superhumanizing way. I feel as though we are superhumans.
I love what you said about not internalizing all the stares that we get, because some people really don't know. And it's actually just more emotional labor for us to try to decipher from the outside in what they're thinking. Like, it's just too much. Like, my existence is already a little more dense than most people. I don't want to have to do that emotional labor unless I am asked and I feel so called to do so for someone I love and care about. Like, extending myself for the spiritual growth of someone I care about, aka love. You know, so much of, I think, being trans too is giving birth to ourselves, being born again even, which has such a spiritual connotation to it, especially given that a lot of us were raised under Christian archetypes. So much of my transition is spiritual, and so much of how I transition is informed by how I can upkeep my spiritual health. And and what it's making me look at things through a spiritual lens, because if I'm to feel like I can move through the world as I physically change, then I need to make sure that I have like a spiritual rock, or like a foundation that isn't reliant upon physical things, because what's physical will pass away, it will change, just like my body is. And so I feel like my foundation needs to be spiritual, it needs to be personal, so that it can hold me through such drastic and dramatic physical change, like such drastic changes to how I relate to myself and other people in the world. In search of cis womanhood, it is intentionally trans. Like, it is.
It's my
Yeah.
girl. She kind of like are the. She said. If people could come to understand our experience, then it's like I don't know, like not to use like
I feel like connection.
labor, but like give world peace type thing.
No,
because, like a
it,
trans person is doing the work at like the most deepest core level to authenticate self. And if everyone
It's
had
so
like
important
peace,
that
not like an idealized, but like
I
if
have
everyone
community around me
had like
with
the
others,
boldness,
who's willing and able to hold
it's really
space
liberating when I can just
for my
transition
transition,
when I can't do that, because I
and to hold
am
space for
aligned with
where I
myself
am in my
enough.
transition,
And I think that's what transitioning is
and to
was
affirm, to have
is like
community that affirms
being
what
able
I
to-
know to be true.
I feel like connection as liberation has to be genuine. Like, nothing out of obligation, or like you're forced to, or like you're just like meeting expectations. Like, it's something you genuinely want and can do.
you.